My name is Brian Smith, and we are in history class at the Academy at Virginia Randolph. And today we're going to be doing a lesson on the fall of the Roman Republic. The style of lesson we're going to be using is called cubing. It's a concept review. What we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of online notes using the technology that the county's bought us through Nearpod, and we're going to be doing an accompanying worksheet to discuss what a republic is within the context of Rome. And in the end, we're going to check for mastery of the SOL strand and concepts by doing a review that requires the students to take the information and manipulate it and demonstrate it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the fall and decline of the Roman Republic. As you guys remember, we pledge allegiance to a republic every day, right? It is a representative democracy first tried in Rome. We've been kind of grinding on that term since the beginning of the year. So today we're going to talk about how Julius Caesar ended the Roman Republic. All right, first thing we need to review is the expansion of Rome during the Punic Wars. Remember, Rome went down and beat the living crap out of Carthage. It was 3 wars, 3-zip Rome. Rome annihilated the kingdom of Carthage. Matter of fact, we probably couldn't even locate it today. We know roughly where it was, but they really did. They wiped it off the map. But what you guys can see on the map that's on your computers right now is that the land that Rome got encircled the Mediterranean. So one of the things I want you guys to be able to spot on a map is to locate the Roman Empire, and anytime you see it circling the Mediterranean, you're probably looking at Rome. So there's Rome after the Punic Wars. All right, so what happens is this. The land that Rome gets, it begins to farm. But it doesn't farm using the traditional methods where farmers from Rome farm the land, pay their workers, and make a profit. What happens is the Romans start to establish what we call latifundia, or large slave labor farms. Now, if you are a farmer back in Rome and you're paying workers and you're paying your family and you're paying for your land, that costs a lot. So what happens is with all these conquests, Rome starts making these large slave labor farms that put their own people out of business. It causes unemployment. Why don't you go ahead and click us there. All right. So what's the impact on the cities? People go to the cities looking for jobs. Their farms get put under because of these large slave labor farms, and they end up unemployed. What happens when people go to the city and they can't find jobs? What are you going to do to survive? What's that? Steal. You're going to steal. So crime increases. What else? That's true. That's true. People already steal. Now imagine how much worse it would be if there was massive unemployment. They're going to steal. They're going to rob. When they come home at night and they can't feed their families and they get depressed, what are they going to do? Maybe kill people, maybe drink, right? So what's that? Maybe even an uprising, right? So the Roman Republic's in real trouble. Go ahead and click us, Michonne. Thank you, sweetie. The Roman Republic is in real trouble. Certain things start to happen to their economy. Prices increase and the value of money decreases, which makes their economy very unstable. People are never sure what's going to happen. One day bread will cost something they can afford, and the next day, they can't afford it. And that makes me, yeah, it's a lot like, it is. It's exactly like gas. It's exactly like gas. Sometimes gas is pushing up around $4 a gallon, and sometimes it's down to $2.25. And when you never know what it's going to cost you, but your income stays the same, you get nervous. I know I do. Providing for a family gets nervous. So, problems with the Roman government. Let's take a look at the Roman Republic as a government. All right, problems were corruption. Problems were that a lot of the leaders were for sale. They could be bought. Another problem is that anytime any of these leaders stood up to this corruption, they were oftentimes assassinated. A lot of times they were assassinated, right? Which creates a problem. There were 2 brothers, they call them the Gracchi, the Gracchus brothers, and they stood up in the Roman Republic and they said, that's it, no more corruption. We're going to clean house. And they both ended up dead, one after another. And this began a long tradition of political assassination. Power struggles. The generals would fight for power, and they would reward their troops in conquest with land, which oftentimes led the troops to being more loyal to the generals than they were to the republic. That's a problem too. When a soldier doesn't say, hey, I fight for the Roman Republic, when they say, I fight for a particular general. Because what happens if that general decides to turn on the republic?
They're gonna lose everything.
Yeah. All right, we good?
No.
All right, I'll give you another minute. Almost to where we're going to assess the republic, whether we're going to say whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, because we're going to talk about how Caesar kills it. All right, so from republic to empire, Rome's civil wars. What happens in all this chaos is three guys rise up to take power. We call them a triumvirate. What's an easy way to remember that when you see it? What other words do we know with tri in it? Tri means three, so what words do we know that we can associate with that? How many wheels on a tricycle? Three, right? What else do we know that's got tri in it? Triangle, right? How many sides on a triangle? Three. So how many people in a triumvirate? Three. And the three guys in this triumvirate were a very popular general by the name of Gaius Julius Caesar. Caesar was extremely popular because he went out and conquered an area called Gaul. So he brought in a lot of farmland and a lot of money by going out and conquering. Another guy in that triumvirate was a guy by the name of Pompey. Pompey was a very popular and accomplished general. And the third guy was probably the wealthiest man in all of the Roman Republic, and his name was Marcus Crassus. Now, Crassus didn't have anywhere near the charisma that Pompey and Caesar had. He was basically there because he had the money. He was what? Yeah, he was more like a sponsor. He was the guy who propped it all up with his big bank account. So we've got a triumvirate rises up and takes power. Now, what's going to happen when three guys, a rich guy and two popular generals, rise up and say, oh, we're all going to share power? Can we predict what might happen?
They're gonna fall apart.
People are going to first follow them, and eventually they're going to fall apart because too many egos can get in the way. All right, so Caesar becomes extremely popular and extremely wealthy when he conquers Gaul, which is what we call modern France, right? Modern day France back then was called Gaul. Caesar goes up and conquers it. And what he does is he gives all his generals large farms as rewards. And then he takes a lot of the money and brings it back to Rome and starts donating it to people. He becomes very popular. He's a populist politician. So he becomes very, very wealthy and very, very popular by conquering Gaul. Now, the first triumvirate begins to fall apart. Marcus Crassus is killed, which leaves Caesar and Pompey. And Pompey becomes very, very, very afraid of Julius Caesar's popularity. Pompey's worried that the people like Caesar better than him. So he sends a message to Julius Caesar up in Gaul and says, hey, Caesar, how about this? Since you've conquered that new area way up north, you stay there and you run that part, and I'll stay down in Rome and I'll run this part. Suppose Caesar went for it? No, Caesar did not. He was not having that. Caesar crossed into Rome and he couldn't undo it. It was civil war. So Rome had a civil war, and Pompey and Caesar fought it out. You ready for this? Pompey fled like a boss. He took off like a scalded dog. Pompey ran down to Egypt, and he tried to get the pharaohs down there to prop him up so he could build up an army in return. It gets even crazier because the pharaoh Ptolemy, who was down in Egypt, killed Pompey to try to please Caesar. You suppose Caesar was happy about that? No, as a matter of fact, Caesar had one of those kind of, you know how it is with your little brother, only you can beat up your little brother? That's sort of what it was with Pompey and Caesar. Caesar was angry and said, how dare you kill a Roman consul? You can't put your hands on a Roman leader. Only I could do that. So Caesar goes down and takes it out on Pompey, and takes it out on Ptolemy and has him executed. All right. And now, what it looks like is Caesar is going to become a king. Let's talk about this real quick, and then we'll do our activity. All right. Is Caesar a king? He's the only guy in charge now. Notice how I put the Caesar salad around the top and the crown? Is he a king? All right. The Roman Senate seems to think so. Caesar begins to have conflict with the Senate. The upper class of the Senate, what do we call them? Remember the daddies? The word I gave you? Begins with pa. Patricians. The patricians and the patrician class that runs the Senate views Caesar as a threat. They think that he's going to become a tyrant. They think that Caesar is going to take over and start giving the people stuff at their expense. And Caesar does. He uses the crowd to his advantage. So what's the Senate do? They stab him to death on the floor of the Senate. Turn him into a pincushion. And Julius Caesar's now dead. All right. Let's check and see if we understand a couple concepts. What I want you guys to do is get a whiteboard and a marker and get with a couple students. You can do it yourself if you want to. I would think it would probably be a little bit easier if we break into groups. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll a dice. And you're going to get...
Can I roll?
Of course you may.
Oh.
You're going to get a job depending on what Kayla rolls for us. I'm going to give you a word. The first word is going to be republic. Let's write republic down at the top of the board. R-E-P-U-B-L-I-C. Republic. And if Kayla rolls a 1, you're going to describe what a republic is. You're going to use words. If Kayla rolls a number 2, you're going to draw it. If Kayla rolls a 3, you're going to compare it to something. If Kayla rolls a 4, you're going to provide an example of a republic. If Kayla rolls a 5, you're going to attack it using facts. And if Kayla rolls a 6, you're going to defend it using facts. So a republic's a representative democracy. It's where you vote for people to make laws for you, right? So we're going to use that word to do this activity. And I'm going to check to see who knows what, and if you don't know it, we'll help you through it so we can understand it. We're just going to focus in on a couple key vocabulary terms from this lesson. Kayla, why don't you give us a roll for republic?
3.
Kayla rolled a 3. We're going to compare it to something. So, a republic. Go ahead and write it down, and we'll see what you all got. So remember, a representative democracy, where you vote for people to go make laws for you. Let's compare it to something. It can be another government. It can be anything in your life where you vote for someone to go talk for you. I'm going to compare it to my family. Me and my ex-wife, we vote and speak for our kids. The kids don't actually get to make their own rules. The adults make the rules. My ex-wife and I, and her husband and my wife, we are the ones who speak for the kids. So it's kind of like a republic. It's a representative democracy. Do my kids get to say certain things about how they live? Yeah, they get to say what clothes they wear. They get to say what sports they want to play, what clubs they want to be in. But who gets the overall say? Who gets the final vote? Do the kids? No, the adults do. So we're kind of like a republic. Gentlemen, what do y'all got? What'd you compare it to?
USA.
The United States, because we are in fact a republic. Excellent. That's a good comparison. How about back here? What'd y'all compare it to?
Like being a captain on a basketball team.
Like being the captain on a basketball team. Everyone on the team gets a say, but it's the captain in the end who talks to the coach about what's actually going to happen, right? I love it. What about you guys? What'd you come up with?
The U.S. government.
The U.S. government. I think that's a really good, consistent one to remember. And how about back here? We're finishing up.
The captain of like a ship.
Captain of a ship. Excellent, right? Because the captain of the ship gets final say on where the ship goes and where it stops and what it delivers and everything like that. So we're going to talk about a triumvirate. A government with 3 leaders. Kayla, can you give us a roll?
2.
Kayla rolls a 2. We're going to draw a triumvirate. Draw a triumvirate. I'm going to draw a triumvirate right over here. Here's my triumvirate. I got my 3 guys, but you look, they are all fighting, right? Here's Pompey over here. Here's Crassus over here, which would make, who's this guy in the center? Caesar.
Your C is backward.
Good. I'm dyslexic. Give me a break. So Crassus and Caesar, and I'm dyslexic and I'm writing upside down. So Pompey, Caesar, and Crassus, right? What happens? Well, first thing that happens here to this triumvirate is Crassus dies. And then who fights it out? Then Pompey fights it out with Caesar. And who wins that one? Caesar wins. So then Pompey's down, 2. And then what do we put on Caesar's head here?
A crown.
A crown. Well done. So we give Caesar a crown. So that is drawing a triumvirate. Let's see what y'all got. All right, so we got, show me what's going on in that picture there?
Alright, so like this, which one was the rich one?
Crassus is the rich one.
Rich one. Caesar was popular,
Caesar was very popular general.
and the other one, what's his name?
Pompey.
Yeah, he was famous, popular.
Okay, so you got all 3 in the triumvirate. What do we got over here?
What's that?
I love it. It's like a 3-headed monster.
A hydra, something. The little dragon joke. Hydra.
A hydra. Oh, that's an excellent representation. A 3-headed monster, because what's going to happen is that 3-headed monster is going to get out of control. I love it. That's brilliant. What about you guys? Pompey, Caesar, and Crassus, and look, you got the king. Caesar in the center becomes like a king. That's outstanding. Well done. How about you ladies over there? And the ladies got red breeches. The 3 amigos. I love it. Pompey, Caesar, and Crassus, a triumvirate. Thank you so much for joining our class today and our lesson on the Roman Republic, for joining our cubing activity. I think the kids did a great job. This is some of the things that we've got going on at the Academy at Virginia Randolph on a daily basis. And thank you also to my wonderful students for their participation. You guys want to say goodbye to the folks?
See ya.